I met a gypsy.
So I guess when you have that conversation with Paul Morris,
Yep.
what starts turning in your head from there?
It was end of September 2020, so we hadn't gone to Bathurst yet. I was co-driving with James Courtney with Tickford, and I was still with Tickford in Super 2, and they were trying to get me to sign for next year, and we were like, yeah, well, are we going to go anywhere else sort of thing? And Paul called me, like, same thing, I'll never forget it. I walked in the door at Norwell, Paul was like, hey, Brock, need to have a chat to you. I'm like, oh, what have I done? And he's like, I wasn't going to say anything before Bathurst, but I've spoken to your dad, and he said, we might as well tell you. He said, had a call from RD, and he said, Jamie's going to retire at the end of 2021, and he wants you to replace him. And like, I nearly fell over. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yep. And he wants you to race Super 2 for him next year. Do a wild card at Bathurst, and then you'll replace Jamie if you do a good job. And what was I? I was 17. And I'd done 2 Super 2 races, had a shocking round 1, qualified P2 at round 2, but like still stuffed up the starts and stuff like that. And like RD saw my potential, and just as what Paul like told everyone and that. And then I went out at Bathurst, did a like decent job. I crashed my Super 2 car, but then I had a really good run in the 1000. And then we're at Kingscliff quarantining for 2 weeks. RD wasn't there, but we sat down with Simo, and he basically said, this is what's going to happen. And as soon as we got out of quarantine, went and signed the contract. And yeah, like, it's crazy. I was a 17-year-old kid, and I got told I was going to replace Jamie Whincup if I did a good job.
Dude, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and the thing was last year, like, everyone was talking about it, especially once, like, I got announced I was a Triple 8 driver, then I got the Red Bull car with Triple 8 on it, and then it was like, Jamie Whincup's retiring. Everyone's like, are all these pieces, like, for Brock to take over Jamie? And then went out at Bathurst, won, then swept Townsville. And then, yeah, it was a couple of weeks after Townsville, I got the call from RD to come and see him, and, yeah, got told I got the drive.
Wow. So how long was it all done before it actually was public knowledge?
So
I guess
no one really,
kind of a little while, in a way.
Oh, yeah. Not many people know about it, but because RD, at the start of last year, like, there was a big reshuffle. You know, he was pulling out. Jamie was coming in. Tony Quinn was coming in. We sort of did a thing, I think just after Bathurst, saying, like, basically, if Brock does a good job, we just needed something on paper. If Brock does a good job, he'll replace Jamie. If not, we might have to do another year of Super 2. Then there's the option to replace whoever goes in, sort of thing. So there was something.
It's risky to let somebody take that drive for a year, replacing Jamie, if not for you. So
yeah,
there is pressure to perform in a way.
Yeah, I knew if I did a good job, I could get the seat. If I did a terrible job, I would not have a chance of getting the seat. So they always said, look, every single driver in pit lane wants this drive.
Yeah.
If you do the job, you've got the drive. So yeah, there was a rough thing saying, you know, if I did a good job, I'd get it, and the decision would be made by December.
And what was a good job?
Well,
Don't put it in the wall.
RD told me at the start of the year, he said, you don't have to win the championship. He said, but you need to do the best that the car can do. So the Nissans in Super 2 have been really competitive, and they've dominated the last few years. And everyone's told me if you're not in a Nissan, you're not going to win the championship. Now, everyone thinks if you're not in a Triple 8 car, you're not going to win the championship.
Yeah.
So, yeah, last year I came in, RD said, look, if they're way quicker, like, and you finish P2 in the championship, that's not the end of the world. Went out, won the first race, got a penalty in the second race. So I was P2 in the championship after round 1. Then we had like a few months off, probably 4 or 5 months off, and we went to Townsville 2 weekends in a row. First weekend, fastest every practice, every qualifying, smashed it. Next weekend, won overall again. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, now this is what we're talking about. I was like, okay, this is going to be pretty good. But I still didn't think the decision was going to be made till after the 1000, after I did the wild card. Couple of weeks went by, got a call from RD. He said it was like early. It was weird. It was early in the morning. It was like 7:30 or something. My dad had his AirPods connected, and for some reason, the text message from my phone went to Dad. And Dad come run up. He's like, Brock. He's like, you just got a message from RD. Call him. I'm like, hey, RD. And he's like, Brock. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you need to come and see me today. I'm like, yeah, I got a training session, but I'll be up about 1 o'clock. I was shitting myself. I was scared. I'm like, fuck, what have I done? I was like, I couldn't figure out what I did. Like, he sounded like it was an angry voice. I'm like, oh my God. And I went up there and he said, you all right? And I'm like, yeah. And we went and sat down in the office. And within about 10 seconds, he said, yep, you've got the drive. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I was freaking out. And he kept talking for about 5 minutes. And I didn't even get a chance to say anything. He's like, is that all right? I'm like, fucking bloody oath, it's all right. Like, that's awesome. So yeah, that was a cool day. That was a day I'll never forget. I think it was 26th of July. So there was a bit over 4 weeks till the announcement got made.
Yeah, right. And how was it keeping it quiet?
Like, I feel like everyone knew. The hardest thing for me was, it was fine. Like, I did not tell anyone. My mum, my dad, my brother, and my nan knew.
Yeah. That
was it. And Paul Morris knew. I got out, called my dad, was like in tears, called mum, and then I called Paul Morris, and he's like, oh, how good is this? He's like, I knew a week ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, you what? I'm like, I didn't even. He's like, no, I had to keep it quiet. But it was all good. And then they released Triple Eight or Red Bull Empire Racing put a post up saying 31st of August, we're going to release it.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh, fuck, you got it, aren't you? It's you. People are sending me messages. Oh, do you want to go for a game of golf on the 31st?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'll see what I got on.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people knew, but I, like, swear to God, did not tell anyone. The night before, I rang my sponsors and told them what was happening. But, yeah. That stuff, I make sure I would hate if there had been a slip up.
Yeah. Fuck. And so how's the pressure, or like, what does it do to your mentality? Because there's two ways you can go. Heaps of pressure, freak you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Or heaps of pressure, makes you super excited, gives you extra confidence, and then you just step up and be like, I'm the fucking man.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's any pressure from the outside. People are saying there's a lot of pressure on me this year, but realistically, if you look at it, there was a lot more on me last year. You know, the job was mine. If I did a good job, I was a Red Bull car. I had Triple
Here's the ball. Don't drop it.
Yeah, exactly. In Super 2, I had all this great opportunity in Super 2. And so looking at it, there was a lot more pressure on me last year and, you know, won the championship. But I put more on my, like, not pressure on myself, but I expect a lot from myself, you know. Even in this first year, you know, I don't expect to be like where I was on the weekend. I was running P2 and ended up P11. Like, I was devastated.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not where I want to be. Like, I want to be up the front in the mix. So, yeah, I don't think there's any pressure from the outside. It's more just internally where I think I should be.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And I think that's probably the move, you know, like and you're not going to get to where you want to get to if the pressure of a drive can be something that can rattle you. Yeah,
exactly. And, you know, as I said, I think there was a lot more on me last year than there is this year. It's sort of just go out and do your thing this year. And, I suppose I don't really like feel the external pressure.
Yeah. So are you a bit bummed in a sense, and this is not to take anything away from the current crew at Triple Eight, but are you a bit bummed in a sense that Roland Dane isn't like the team manager still? Because he's kind of like the Mitch Payton of V8 Supercars in a way, right? And like, it's like there's so much knowledge there from that guy.
Yeah, like...
Again, not like Jamie Whincup's not a fucking animal.
Like, it's awesome to have Jamie in there, not a doubt. But like, it's weird because the last few years, all I've dealt with is RD sort of thing on this note, like trying to get the drive. And now I get the drive and he's sort of... Yeah. He's gone, but he's not gone. Like, he's still hanging around. He's still at the workshop a few days a week. So I still get to talk to him, still on the phone to him every once in a while. So even though he's not at the racetrack, like, he's watching every... Like, you know what I mean? He's still there for me. But... I think like he's, you know, you look at Jamie and all that, but he's one of the most dominant guys in the sport, and he didn't drive. Yeah. Like, he's a hardcore dude, and that's the thing that I love about RDs. He will tell you exactly how it is. Yeah. There's no bullshit whatsoever. It's if you did a good job, he'll tell you you did an okay job, and if you did a terrible job, he'll tell you did a terrible job. Yeah. And I think any strong competitor loves harsh criticism. You don't want to be pat on the back when you did a bad job.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.